Welcome to the Cult Classic Horror Show. Every week, you can have the conversations you've always wanted to have about the films you love.
Shut up!
We're gonna get you. Not another peep. Kinda
Get rid of your distractions and prepare yourself.
Fold and lock your door. 5, 6, gonna crucifix.
You got a big surprise coming to you. You're not going anywhere.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cult Classic Horror Show. I'm Danny Bonin.
And here I am, Scotty Bonin, along with you guys. Back again.
And here I am.
Here I am. Here is me. We don't use proper
English. That's like
English.
the third time you've done that. I think it's sort of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of.
And
I'm Scotty Bonin.
And here
there
I
you
am.
go. Just want to let you guys know I'm here, you know.
So, first episode of the new year. Well, okay. First, I should say Cult Classic Horror episode because we did a Deadite Lounge episode.
That's right.
For the season finale of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
That's right.
But yes, first of the new year, and we are moving on from all things Evil Dead. So those of you that have been wondering what the hell is going on, why we just talk about Evil Dead all the time, well, now we're not. So
Yes.
have no fear.
We are moving on to another cult classic epic horror
Even
film.
though Evil Dead is the shit.
Evil Dead is one of the best for sure. But
Yeah.
you got to move on at some point, right?
But I would venture to say that the movie we're about to talk about is on the level and / might rival Evil Dead.
Oh, for sure it does. For me, at least. I mean, it is one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
So we're going to be talking
sure.
about The Shining.
Yes, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, one of our all-time favorites.
We've fucking seen
of
this
all
movie
time.
like 38 times. At
Probably
least
48 times. It's like Evil Dead. It's one of those movies you can watch over
Yeah.
and over and over again, and it never gets old.
We could probably recite the entire movie
Oh yeah.
together somehow. You know.
We should watch the movie, and we could just have the music play in the background, and we could recite everything by memory.
Yeah, that would be very entertaining for you guys, right?
But yeah, we could quote that movie in our sleep. I believe.
Best music. I mean,
Oh,
I think
God.
we all have to agree that The Shining has some of the best, most epic music in a horror movie.
Oh yeah, best composed music I've ever heard in any horror movie. I mean, there's some good ones out there, but this is just beyond anything I've ever heard in any movie, not even horror.
And the
Just
movie,
any movie.
I just got to put this out there. The movie's way fucking better than the book. It's way better than the book. I don't care what
I
anyone.
agree.
I've read the book. I've watched the movie, and the movie's way better. Everyone's always like, "Oh, the book's better than the movie." And then even some snobby people with The Shining are like, "Wow, the movie wasn't like the book. The book was better." And you're fucking wrong.
Yeah,
The movie's way better.
the book was longer and drawn out. I mean, the book was great, right?
Yeah, it was a
But-
good book. They're two separate things almost.
It is, yeah.
You know, and we're gonna actually get into The Shining and talk about it, but Stanley Kubrick bought the rights to the story The Shining, and also made sure that he was able, within that contract somehow, made sure he was able to mess around with it.
Yes.
And then he did. He
And
made
do his
it.
own twist on it. Yeah.
You know, in the book The Shining, they talk a lot about. I shouldn't say talk a lot about. The feel is more. It's like a haunted place. Ghosts and things like that. Whereas
Hedge animals coming alive.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Whereas the movie The Shining is more psychological. It's more.
Gets into your head.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a place that's haunted. It's not a place that has ghosts. It's simply just the echo of memories. You know, which
I think is more gripping to the viewer, in my perspective.
Yeah.
At least, which I loved. So.
and it just. The movie was better. That's all there is to
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I
Jack
totally
Nicholson
agree.
is the man, and
God,
he did an
he is the
awesome
man.
job. And
He's-
Kubrick, Kubrick did an amazing job with the film, and the whole set and everything. It was just so grand. The book was written by Stephen King, who was inspired to write this movie while he was staying at the Stanley Hotel here in Colorado.
Yeah, up in Estes Park.
Which is actually like 40 minutes away from us. We actually just ate dinner at the Stanley Hotel.
For Christmas dinner.
Yeah,
Yes.
just before Christmas. I've spent an anniversary there, and so it's right next to us here. We've been to it many times.
Doesn't each room they have a channel in each room that has The Shining?
Yeah, The Shining plays the
24
original
hours a day.
Shining plays there 24 hours a day, 24/7. They always have The Shining playing there, and they have a huge they have a ghost tour they do, and with a lot of Shining stuff. They have a mini. What is it? I don't want to say that. They have
a gift store. They have
they have the gift store that has all the Shining stuff in it.
Has all the Shining memorabilia. And stuff.
They have a hallway full of pictures of Shining memorabilia, Shining stuff. And they actually, when they made, I don't know if you guys listening know this, some of you probably do, they remade The Shining for TV as a made-for-TV version.
Yes.
Which they did, I don't know the exact year, but later on, it's probably been about 15 years now. Maybe it was 2000 or something, maybe a little earlier, maybe 90 something.
Yeah, maybe late 90s.
But they redid it, and they filmed the entire thing at the Stanley Hotel.
It was a TV series, right? Like 4 episodes.
It was a made-for-TV movie. Shown in 4 parts.
That's right.
So it was like a 4-hour movie, and they just split it up into 4 parts. And they filmed the entire thing at the Stanley, and they followed the book exactly. But it was not as good at all. First of all, the kid in the fucking made-for-TV movie, I just wanted to bash his fucking head in.
He was so fucking
I just
annoying.
wanted to lay his head down on concrete and take like a 12-pound sledgehammer and bash his head in.
He had those like cheeks that would move like uncontrollably every time he talked, and it was like so pouty and annoying.
It was like he had a mouthful of food while he was talking to you. It was that ridiculous.
Man. Danny Lloyd did way better in Stanley Kubrick Shining, of course.
I could not. I just wanted to punch that kid the whole time I was watching the made-for-TV movie. And then, before I watched it, when I heard that Steven Weber was playing,
that's right,
was playing Jack, and I just knew him as the guy from Wings.
Yeah, the old TV show Wings.
And so I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
What the hell are they doing? Is that guy playing Jack for? But he actually did a decent job.
Yeah, he did.
I got to hand it to him. He was pretty creepy in that. They actually made him up to look really creepy towards the end. And he did a pretty good job.
Stephen King himself was in it, too.
Yeah, Stephen King, yeah. He was, like the doorman or something?
Yeah, the doorman.
Or no, he was a MC or something like that. I sort of forgot. I actually haven't seen. I've only watched that movie once, and I haven't, maybe twice, and I haven't seen it forever, because there's just no use when you have the actual Shining, the original Kubrick film.
And it's so weird, they had like Steven Weber use the croquet mallet, and of course Jack Nicholson uses an axe.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on. Well, because in the book it is a croquet mallet. But,
yes.
But the axe is way better. What the fuck were they thinking?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Stephen King's brilliant.
Croquet mallet
might
be brutal,
but come on, croquet mallet.
Too.
I don't know. I
but
guess
axe
so.
is like, come on,
the
now.
axe is
classic.
So yeah,
that's
I don't even know what we're getting at here, because I have a whole list of interesting facts here that we should go through. But
we could talk forever about this movie, and I don't know. Do we tell anyone what we're gonna do before The Shining? We actually originally were going to do something before The Shining.
Yeah, well, so keep an eye out for this in the future episodes. We are going to do an episode on Dead Alive or Brain Dead, depending on.
And I think we told you guys that in a Cult Classic episode before, but we weren't able to.
We're trying to set up an interview with Timothy Baum, the main guy, and we've been emailing back and forth with the Auckland Actors Association, and he's on holiday.
Yes.
And so he's supposed to get back to us. So we were postponing the Dead Alive section until we can nail down an interview with him.
Yes.
So that'll be cool.
Until then, we're doing our favorite, The Shining.
Yeah.
Which we might.
And we might be able to nail down an interview next week with somebody. We'll see. I was trying to hunt down Danny Lloyd, but I don't think he did anything else after The Shining. So
yeah. That played Danny Torrance, of course.
Yeah. So we'll see next week. We may have an interview for you. If not, we'll move on to another awesome movie.
Or we might just get Scatman Crothers too.
Is he still alive?
I don't know. Maybe he might not be. He might not be.
He'd be pretty damn old right now.
Yeah, he would
still
be.
alive. But so, anyways, yeah, we already talked about the made for TV. The Stanley's right next to us, and they might actually be. I think they're opening a horror museum up there, a whole separate wing now. And so if they do, we'll try and maybe get up there and cover it live.
Yes,
maybe not live, but we'll do a podcast from the Stanley.
From the Stanley.
So it's a cool place. If you guys are ever in Colorado, you should go stay up there. When I stayed the night for my anniversary, there's always like the Ghost Hunters did an episode there. There's always ghost hunters up there. So while I remember when we were going to bed and I looked out in the hallway, there was like a circle of people at the end of the hallway, like sitting in a circle with camera. I don't even know what they were doing. They weren't like official. They were amateur ghost hunters. But yeah, it's a pretty cool place.
And when we did the ghost tour there, it was actually, they took us down to like the basement area and like the room was, of course, at the Stanley is 217 that burnt down and supposedly it's haunted now. They rebuilt it and whatnot. So there's a lot of history there and actually I'm a big beer drinker. There's a brewery up there that's named, some of their ales are named after some of the Shining quotes, like Red Rum Ale and 217 Pale Ale. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because so 217's their thing, 217's their thing, but it's 237.
237 in Kubrick's.
In Kubrick's movie.
Yes.
Yeah. He even had to change the room number.
Yeah.
So. Anyways.
Don't go into room 237 or 217.
Not unless you want to bang an old naked demon.
An old naked.
I don't know demon, but
old rotted lady that used to live there or used to stay there.
You know what? In the original, she started out decent.
Oh, she was hot.
I don't know that she was hot. First of all, she had a mad bush.
Yeah, well, back in the 80s when this movie was made, it was made in 1980. The girls had bushes.
Yeah, no, the bush was the thing back then, but I can't watch it now and be attracted.
Yeah.
Sorry for all you ladies listening that have mad bushes.
Yeah.
Or even nice big bushes that aren't mad.
I don't mind the bush.
I mind the bush. I definitely mind the bush.
This is made The Shining was 1980. Yeah, so 1979, 1980.
Was it? Back then, actually failed to look at the exact year.
I did look at it. I looked at it on the on your Blu-ray cover.
Oh,
so
all right.
1980 is when it was filmed. So yeah, let's jump into the filming. I mean, we could keep talking about bushes here.
I mean, I'd rather not talk about bushes because I don't like them.
Well, I was talking about like the maize bush.
Oh,
of course, I like to I like to trim the bushes and keep it clean.
Yeah,
my girlfriend.
The maize bushes. They talked about. You get lower down on the bush and it looks taller. Mm-hmm. The same goes for a normal, a woman's bush. You get down in there, it looks really...
When you're down there...
It's really intimidating.
Yeah. It gets, it's like a jungle down there. You can't find your way through.
So...
All right.
So The Shining...
Sorry, guys. We'll jump into this.
So The Shining happened at a time when there's a lot of horror going on and coming out. The Exorcist had came out. A lot of other movies around that time.
Yeah.
And
a lot of epic films came out. Yeah.
Yeah, and what Kubrick wanted to do, Kubrick was a very successful filmmaker, but very determined, and he wanted to make something that could compete or actually crush what everyone else was doing at the moment.
Rival it, yes.
He wanted to rival what everyone was doing. He wanted to compete with what was popular at the time. Mm-hmm. So when I say they, we've watched some documentaries and we've studied up on this a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's whoever we heard of in there when I say they. But they say that at the time his films were made, they were very contemporary. They were very what was popular at the time because he was always trying to be on top of things. Mm-hmm. So The Shining was very much his attempt, and I think success at topping the horror of the time.
Oh, and I think that's what he did.
Yeah.
He wanted something that you would watch it and you would go home and think about it for days, and you'd watch it again and
you'd talk about it, you'd argue about it.
You'd tell your friends about it, like, can you guys see this? And that's what happened.
You'd argue about the bush and the lady.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
room 237.
Exactly. But that's why and we'll get into this later, but he took so long to film his films. He took, they say that it takes longer for the preparation of the film and getting the money here and there, and where to film it, where to do this. And then when you come to the filming, usually the directors, they zip through it. With Stanley Kubrick, he was the other way around. He wanted to take his time filming it and would shoot the scenes over and over again to make it right how he liked it.
Well, yeah, his logic was they've taken all this time and money to get to the actual shoot day, so why not actually take the most time with the filming?
Yeah. And
not just everything else leading up to it. So,
which why I think, as on the back of the cover, it says it's the first epic horror film, and I totally agree. I mean, it's just, you could see watching it how much time, I mean, I guess you don't really know, but how much time was put into this and how epic it really is. That's why it is one of those movies that it will always stand out as one of the greatest, because it's always, you planted that seed in your head that made it the greatest.
It's so epic, the size of everything, the music, everything combined.
Yeah.
Speaking of the size, I mean, those aerial shots in the beginning, everything outside was filmed at the Timberline Lodge in Oregon.
Yes, that's right.
But actually and we didn't even talk about this tonight while leading up to this podcast, but another thing that I actually couldn't really see it, but supposedly in the opening sequence when they're driving up the mountains, they're driving through the hills. Cue soundboard right there. So
epic.
Apparently, while they were filming that, they were doing it from a helicopter, and supposedly during one of the opening credits, you can see a shadow of the helicopter on the mountain. Okay. But
I never noticed that.
I actually looked for that and I couldn't find it. So maybe it was like a version. I don't even know. Maybe it's just some fucking idiot that's like, you can see the helicopter,
Oh, it's not correct. It's not right.
You can see the helicopter. This is a picture of my girlfriend. She lives in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So
some idiot.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, filmed outdoor. The aerial outdoor shots, the wide shots, were filmed at Timberline Lodge in Oregon. But then the close-ups of the exterior was actually a set built in the UK. And they did pretty much all the filming in the UK on an English soundstage, studio, I should say.
Studio, with where they at. But isn't that crazy? They got that epic big shot in Oregon with the mountains and stuff, and then of course they made it to look like the panels and whatnot as the same shot close up in the UK. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and another thing about the grandeur of the set and everything is that. I was going to mention this while we were talking about the made-for-TV version. Is although the Stanley Hotel it's big, and actually from the outside it looks great. I think that would be a good aerial shot too.
Yeah.
But inside is good, but it's not near the epicness or hugeness of the set they built for The Shining. So when they redid it and they filmed it all at the Stanley. Although I love the Stanley, I love going there, it just did not have the same feel, the same huge, like you're in this vast open space. That's what scared me about it, is that just the vastness of the hotel, supposedly, that they're in, the huge open space. That's something that makes the chill, gives me the chills.
I think
huge
so too.
Open space.
It's not like an Amityville Horror, like haunted house or like a little cabin or which I love, a little cabin. Sorry,
of course,
Evil Dead. But it was a huge open, like beautiful hotel, but it gave you the chills because it was so big.
Well, it does, because it's there's no way you could know where everything's at or what's in every corner. And that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, that was so great. We should have done a trivia where what color was Jack's slug bug when he was driving it up the canyon. We did that one.
Really?
We did the trivia. Remember?
Oh, yeah,
we like aced it.
Yeah, we did ace the trivia. It's yellow. It's yellow, by the way.
It is yellow. Yes,
but
of course.
But yeah, I don't like doing trivia on the show. At least giving away prizes, because then people just look that shit up on the internet.
Well, I was just giving you the trivia to see if you remembered.
Oh, well, I remember.
Oh, see,
I remember.
I'm just seeing if he's on top of things here, guys. So yeah. Anyways, let's hop back into this.
Go ahead.
So I was going to talk about. I guess I kind of hand the mic off to you, but then I interrupted him. See how I did that, guys? So we talked about the exterior set was at the UK. The close-ups, but then we moved to the hotel rooms. The photographed. So the hotel rooms were taken with a bunch of photographs that were then handpicked by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
on which
so
he wanted
let's say that right, because I have the note down too.
Okay.
So what Kubrick did is he sent people all across America to take pictures of hundreds of different hotel rooms. So thousands of pictures were sent back to him.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and he pretty much looked through all of them and just said, let's use that room, that room, and this room. Mm-hmm. And then what he did is they recreated the room on the soundstage, on the set there. And I remember, they were interviewing Jack Nicholson, and he says how Kubrick wasn't big on set design or original set design or original costume design, because he said there's, out of all the millions of hotel rooms out there, there's a perfect one, so we just need to use that.
Use that instead of recreate your own.
Yeah, there's a perfect costume for this, there's a perfect this for that. We don't need to recreate things. We just need to find where that's at. A perfect piece of music, So yeah, I thought that was very interesting too.
You know what was kind of funny too? Like, they're caretakers of the hotel. Jack gets put up in like a decent room, but then you go into like the room where they see the lady that's in the bathtub, and it's like this beautiful room, purple carpet and this and that.
Yeah.
So you can see.
Although that's fucking ugly now.
Yeah,
me.
of course. Yeah, it's ugly now.
Purple.
Blue bathtub.
But yes, no, it was a higher class room.
Yeah. But I don't know if you guys noticed that too. I mean, but that's what they worked with.
Well, there were definitely sections of the hotel, it seemed like, where there was like that room where it was nicer. There was a room they lived in that looked more homey. Mm-hmm. There were other rooms,
which he liked.
Yeah.
It's nice and homey.
Yeah, he does say that. Homey.
Yeah, homey. It's nice. Yeah, there's one of the quotes, guys. So but yeah, let's move on. So yeah, the rooms were selectively handpicked by Kubrick, and there was some pretty awesome ones there too.
What's that sound?
What is it?
God,
what is that sound?
We get carried away so much, but we almost forgot to take a horror halftime.
The horror halftime.
Horror halftime. So we're just gonna give you a quick little task. If you've never listened to the show before, the horror halftime is a time where you get to interact and we get to give away prizes. So this week's horror halftime, we do this a lot, but since we're on a different movie now, it's fresh.
Yeah, it's new.
We're going to assign you. So we want you to create a meme that has to do with The Shining. Okay, a meme, if you don't know, is an image with words, usually funny. All right, it has to be funny, has to be original. You have to make it up. We've seen all the Shining memes out there.
Cool.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And we want you to take that meme and go post it on Instagram and tag us at Cult Classic Horror. And the meme that we like the most, we will send you some free gear. You'll be the horror freak of the week.
Yes. Go post that meme.
So go post the meme.
Go post that meme.
All right. That concludes the horror halftime. We'll jump back into the show here. All right.
So the hotel was supposedly built on the Indian graveyard, which they wanted to go with that idea.
Yeah,
of course, not in real life.
But actually, that was more talked about in the book.
Yes.
And not really in the movie at all. I don't know if they mentioned it all, aside from in the making of. So yeah.
But they stuck with the concept, like, let's go with that.
Yeah, or do they talk about it in the Ullman scene in the beginning? Does he mention anything about that?
He does.
Okay.
He talks about the Indian burial grave, or the Indian graveyard, of course. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Ullman says how, I think they talk about it when they're walking around and giving him the tour outside.
Okay. Yeah.
Outside.
All right.
And if you guys notice, you can see a lot of the hotel, the Overlook, of course, it's called, is decorated with Indian apparel, like blankets and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
which they modeled after, and I didn't write down the name of it, but they modeled it after a hotel that was the lobby almost looked exactly like the set they built.
Yeah.
So another instance of Kubrick just not recreating the wheel.
Yeah. Just use what's working.
Another cool little fact is they there's a few scenes in the lobby where it was supposed to be daytime, the lights are off, but it's snowy outside, so they have that light coming in through the windows that just looks like a snowy day outside in the background. But they did that with
winter light. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that with massive amounts of lighting blaring in through the set windows on there. Just thousands of watts of light pouring in. So that was
which was a
task.
great effect. And like you said, in the big open, huge area with lights coming through the window and
the windows being whatever they were, 20 feet tall.
Yeah. And Jack's in there writing. He has his desk there, and just one little single desk in this huge room. And of course, there's the famous scene where he's throwing the ball, and there's light, and it's just that's just an epic room there with all that lighting coming through, and it just shows what they can do with that.
And then we already talked about how the maze. Well, we sort of touched on the maze, but it was basically built. Made of boxes with chicken wire around them, and then the foliage, weaved in there. So, and then Kubrick kept the maze, a model of the maze on his desk. Probably the one they used in the movie, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But,
I bet.
Yeah, and the maze was actually only about 8 feet tall.
But then they used a wide lens to make it look bigger.
Yeah, they lowered the lens down, and however they did it, I'm not a cameraman or anything, but whatever they did, the angle that they're at, it makes it look 12 feet tall. At least. I mean, if you watch them walking through it, the walls look very high.
Huge.
Yeah.
Looks a lot more big. It looks a lot bigger in the movie than what
it's
they actually were dealing with.
It's like, with the right lens and a low angle, it looks like a 70s bush.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But then if you don't do it right and you swing the angle, it looks like a 90s bush.
Yeah. And they were saying it was the most intriguing shots to take, but the most difficult.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, it is intriguing when you look at the bush, but it's difficult to actually really attack the bush.
Very difficult to attack the 70s bush.
Yes, so
very difficult.
Yeah,
and intimidating.
We're talking about the maze here, guys. So don't think any nasty thoughts here.
Then
one other thing, when they were shooting the camera angles, the different camera angles, you guys can see the scene of the famous scenes, of course, of Danny riding his scooter around the hotel, and they actually didn't when it goes to rug, floor, rug, then the no rug sound, rug, and then the floor sound. They actually didn't even plan that. They didn't know that's what it was going to sound like. And when the
came
final
out,
shot came in,
I'm guessing they accentuated it once they heard it because Kubrick.
Oh, I bet
Kubrick didn't plan on it, but then once he heard it played back. It was.
He was like, "That's awesome." Yeah, which I love. That's one of the things that sticks out in my head.
It's probably worth mentioning too. A big deal about this movie is that it was pretty much one of the first movies to use the Steadicam. Where Kubrick had the creator of the Steadicam, Garrett. The Garrett is in his name.
Garrett Jones. I want to say.
I sort of forgot. I apologize.
Garrett Jones, maybe?
Apologize if you or your family's listening, Steadicam creator.
Yes.
But, which was a big deal back then. I mean,
Garrett Brown.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry. I mean, now you can, I've done a couple small short films where these kids have them, I mean, they're pricey, but now you can buy them anywhere, the Steadicams. But yeah, it was a big deal then, and so they even made a rig out of it for Kubrick to wheel around on a wheelchair and could hold the Steadicam, and that's what all those shots going through the hallways were.
Kubrick did a lot of the filming.
Yeah.
For this. Yeah.
And if you can believe it, I mean, this whole indoor set was on a soundstage, so it was huge. I mean, they're following Danny through these hallways, and they're actually following him through, a built set. They built this entire set. And same with the outdoor, when they're at the end of the movie, when they're running through the maze in the snow, it's all still inside a soundstage.
It's crazy.
And we'll get to more on that outside in a minute here, but...
I mean, it's the way they filmed it was just nuts, and that's what I love. The music, the cinematography, everything about this movie is just breathtaking. You know, it was insane.
And actually, we'll get to that right now because it's next to my notes.
Let's get to the snow. So we talked about the maze. I guess did you want to talk about how they shot the maze from the very top, and then you see Wendy walking in it?
While studying that, I was a little confused at what they were talking about. So they had this high. There's this part in the movie where Jack's looking down crazily at the maze.
At the maze,
the model of the maze.
model, yeah.
And as it zooms down further and further, you can see Danny and Wendy walking around. But what they did is they took because the shot is way too high to be like a crane shot or anything like that. It's really high. And so what they did is the shots actually, they're up on scaffolding and they're shooting the model of the maze. Mm-hmm. But then this is where I heard them say they rebuilt just the center section on a block or something.
Block next to an apartment building.
Yeah.
Or apartments, right?
And I don't understand what the apartments had to do with it. Were they standing on top of the apartments?
I think they did an aerial shot or something, so they saw the top of the apartments with the hedges too.
Okay, I don't know, but anyways, then they superimposed that shot into the model
as
aerial shot,
and
that's how they achieved that.
Which back in 1980 was unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, they were saying some of these guys were like, it was one of the most brilliant film shots they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which was awesome, you know. So, so let's get to the outside stuff.
But then so so we mentioned that the snow outdoor, everything was actually indoor in a stage.
Yeah.
And it was actually like 90 degrees in there while they were filming that.
It was. You think it'd be cold, but it was actually extremely hot and sweaty, and oh man.
So they, we heard that for Kubrick during Clockwork Orange, it was freezing.
Or was that?
Or sorry, not Clockwork Orange. It was Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
It was actually freezing the whole time, and they had to act warm. And now, and then before that, in The Shining, though, it was hot as hell, and they had to act cold the whole time.
So in Full Metal Jacket, they could actually see their breath because it was so cold. But they had to fix it so they couldn't see the breath. But they wish it would have been the other way around for The Shining because we would love to see the breath, which I think they incorporated in.
Yeah,
of course, after that. But
yeah, and then the snow itself was actually dairy salt.
Dairy salt, yep.
Piled up everywhere. If you can imagine, piled up to a second-story window.
Yes, they had
set there.
Tons and tons of dairy salt that looked like little pieces of styrofoam.
And they were saying how it probably wouldn't be safe these days, but they're using so much formaldehyde on the maze set with the snow and everything and styrofoam, and that they were breathing it in, and it was very annoying.
And it could be, I mean, because it was an actual maze. You could get lost in there.
And that's what they said. They had a little, so it wasn't the actual full-size maze, but it was a good portion, like 2/3 of it or something. And so they had to have a little map.
Yeah, if you went in there, you had to take that map with
you. They went in there for filming, and they had a map, and then they had to try and find their way out. So we're not even joking about that. And literally, and you can imagine how they could get lost because when they went in to film the end scene where Danny's just running around, they basically held the camera behind him and said, "Now just go wherever you want, and we'll follow you." Mm-hmm. So you can imagine after 5 turns or something, they're probably like, "Where the fuck are we?"
Yeah.
And then they said between yelling back and forth outside of the maze, they would have to get someone in there with a map, and then they would find their way out.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I could imagine.
So that some of that was real.
Yeah, and when you're in there with all that dairy salt and stuff, it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, they don't know where the hell they are. Yeah.
So Kubrick was very a strict director. Like he wanted it to be like perfect, in his mind, which of course it was perfect in like my sense. So he had to be kind of pushy and as in the thing I'm about to say, he was mean on set at times, especially
mainly to Shelley,
the character, Shelley Duvall,
Wendy, who played Wendy. Yeah, she was supposed to be at her wit's end most of the time.
Crying.
Very distressed.
Yeah.
So he actually wanted to make her that way and keep her that way on set the whole time.
So he was always on her heels.
Yeah, sort of an ass.
And asked her, which it's probably a good thing. It keeps them in character, keeps them on their heels.
Yeah, and he also was known, and some of you may know this already, that Stanley Kubrick spent so much time filming that he would take many, many takes to get a scene correct.
Yeah.
Or not even to get it correct, but would just do it over and over and over and over and over again to try and see different characters or different
faces and expressions.
To see what the actor would do with it. You know, they said that the first few takes, the actor would just do a decent job. You know, into the 12th take or so, the actor would give it go over at the top a little bit because he's asking him, now give me more.
It'd pump him up.
And then right after that, they would sort of get tired. So then your 15th to 18th, 20th take was sort of them saving themselves, them being tired. But then into the 27th take, 26th, 30th take.
They take that many takes.
Yeah, into those takes, they were just crazy by then. They were just doing whatever the hell they wanted to. And that's a lot of what Stanley used.
Those are the ones that a lot of them is what they used. As, for example, the scene where Jack is chopping down the door and doing these little pigs. Yeah. That was one of the scenes where they used like the 28th or 29th shot for that one.
Because by then he was just doing whatever the fuck. He didn't even care.
And if you guys watch that scene, you just watch his facial expressions. Just watch his eyes wandering around. It's so mesmerizing that I could believe that. It's the 30th take. Jack's going crazy.
Well, and they talked about how the scene in the kitchen between Danny and Dick Halloran or Scatman, where they're talking about The Shining and
he's eating the bowl of chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, the burnt toast. I can't do that.
Toast. Yeah,
he talks about the burnt toast. They did 88 takes.
My name's Tony.
88 takes.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
And they said that Scatman was at his wit's end, just basically saying, "Oh, no more." But Danny was sitting there,
Danny Lloyd
didn't even give a shit
because and they were saying that Scatman was famous for forgetting lines and couldn't remember his lines, but Danny was 88 takes. He's up for another 88. Yeah. He was a little boy, a little kid that just withstood it. And speaking of how they found Danny Lloyd, they interviewed tons of boys.
Oh yeah, hundreds
of boys
all across America,
around America, because they had to get an American boy, and they finally found one. They found him, and he auditioned and got the part. And
no acting experience before.
None at all.
Wasn't an actor or anything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they were saying he was so good to work with. He was devout to the crew, to making the movie, and
obviously when they did the made-for-TV remake, they just took the first fucking kid that walked in off the street.
Oh yeah, the first kid with food in his mouth.
Yeah,
that keeps it in there like marbles in his cheeks.
If you're listening to this and you're that kid, then I'm sorry. You're probably cool now.
Yeah.
But in that movie, that was fucking horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. I just wanted to kill him so bad.
Anyways,
and of course Kubrick got Jack because he was going to use him in another movie before The Shining, and they just felt like, well, obviously he's phenomenal in this movie, but they seen his previous movies and he was already cast the part. So
well, yeah. And speaking of that chop the door scene. Apparently, Jack Nicholson was trained as a reserve firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
In his earlier days, and so knew how to swing an axe, But they didn't know that the set people, so they had made these really brittle doors. A lot of these doors that were sort of weakened.
Yeah.
And just because they figured, this Nancy-pansy actor isn't going to be able to swing the axe and chop this door down. But I guess when he went to do it, he just tore through it like Matchbox.
Yeah.
And it was, it was just way too easy for him. So they actually had to build normal doors or stronger doors, and they even had to tell him to ease off a little bit. Yeah. Because he was going through them too fast.
He was going crazy. Yeah. Built stronger doors.
So I thought that was a cool story.
Yeah. That was really, really cool.
he definitely swings the shit out of that axe.
Oh God, he's the best.
To this day, whenever I go to swing an axe or like chop wood or anything like that, and people talk about form or anything, I'm like, I learned from The Shining.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I learned how to swing an axe from just watch The Shining. You'll know how to swing an axe
from the top and bring
slide
it down.
The hand
slide
down.
the hand down. Oh yeah,
it's perfect.
All from The Shining. That beautiful axe chop.
That's all you have to do is watch The Shining.
Let me in. But I heard my chinny chin chin. Yeah, it's so badass. And one thing I just want to say, when Jack's at the party, he comes into the ballroom. Grady spills stuff on him.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
You guys probably noticed this too, and I don't know if anyone else does, but Grady, after he pours his stuff, Grady tries to clean him up, and they're walking to the bathroom, and Jack pats him on the back. "That's all right, Jeeves, the old pal." And you notice on the back of Grady's suit, there's a handprint of drink that's left on
the juice or whatever.
Yeah, like the orange or whatever it was. It was like a cream juice. He leaves it on his back, and then it fades away. So next time you guys watch it, just watch for that little
what an asshole,
little cream juice left on the back of his coat.
Dirty.
I know. God dang it.
So then a few more things I wrote down was the pages that say "all work, no play, make Jack a dull boy." Were actually manually typed by this lady, all of them, because they're all, when he tears through them, or she does rather, they're unique. Most of them, they're different typesets. They're aligned differently.
Yep.
I guess this lady, it took her forever, and she just typed out all these pages.
And they're lined different. There's some that are written straight down, then straight across.
They're totally unique. All these pages were, and this lady typed out all of them. And then, I was going to actually, okay, so they basically, the clothes they're wearing, they spent almost like a solid year in those clothes. Now, granted, they had 5 or 6 changes of clothes of the exact same outfit, but they took so long filming that, they were wearing those clothes for literally almost a year straight.
And of course, they had sets, replicas that looked like it, but the same clothes over and over and over again, wearing the same thing. That's just be craziness. And we never really.
I mean, I know some people that. We had a friend in high school who wore the same jacket. Not even high school, middle school.
Oh yeah.
He wore the same fucking jacket every single day. I remember because our bus picked him up when we rode the bus. He rode the bus, and he's a friend of ours. He might even listen to this sometimes. So But we went to a Slipknot concert, and back then, and he bought this Slipknot rain jacket.
Yeah,
and every fucking day for maybe not that long, for 3 months he wears his coat every.
No, he wore it during summertime.
Oh, it was 85 degrees out, and he was wearing this jacket.
He'd be sweating his head off, too.
Every day the fucking bus would pull up, and before we walked out the door, I'm like, he's going to have this coat on again. He's going to have the fucking coat on again. So,
sure enough, he had it on every day. Freaking time. So just imagine that. Imagine Joe Mestis.
Times 3. So a whole year. But they probably didn't sweat as much as him. He's one of those guys that, actually not really anymore. He's in shape now. But back then he was one of those guys where they just sweat no matter what.
Even if it's below -5, he'd still be sweating.
Just sweat.
Yeah, and wearing the same clothes with the building building they were in, or the studio in the UK they were in, had no AC.
Yeah.
It was really hot, 90 degrees. So they were probably sweating their heads off.
And then speaking of the set, I actually didn't really know this. It burnt down at the end of filming.
Well, was it the whole thing or was it part of the set?
I think a majority, I don't know the whole thing, but a majority of it burnt down.
Part of the set, yeah.
This the studio, the soundstage caught on fire, and one next to it as well. And burnt down, and it interfered somehow at the end with they were going to fix some shooting, and they couldn't because it burned down.
Yeah.
So that's insane. That's sort of in the book it burns down. The hotel does, and it does in the made-for-TV movie. It doesn't in
the Stanley Kubrick
version, but apparently behind the scenes it does. So
in real life,
it burns down. So I thought that was crazy little fact there.
Yeah, it is crazy. So there's all these crazy facts, and of course we did watch some of the behind the scenes stuff, and there was a scene there where there's a puddle. There's piles of fake blood that's on the floor, and they're sweeping it with brooms. And I'm wondering, I wonder if that's the blood that came out of the elevator.
So much fake blood.
Yeah, there's so much fake blood. So, I guess maybe next week we'll let you guys know some more facts about this, or if we get another interview.
Yeah, we'll be onto something else next week.
Yes.
No, who knows? Maybe we'll get an interview. We'll see.
Yes.
See what we can get our hands on.
But yeah, guys, watch The Shining and or listen to this first, then watch The Shining. You guys will see some of the stuff. And all those crazy things that happened, and all the fake snow and dairy salt and all that. So
it's just a great fucking movie.
Yeah,
I love The Shining.
I could watch it over and over again.
Oh, and we have over and over all the time. Mm-hmm. Remember your roommate watched it?
Oh yeah,
didn't he never see it till you?
Yeah, he might have saw it before, but I remember I brought my DVD over. My old roommate, and every night I'd come home, he'd have The Shining playing, every freaking night. And
not even joking, literally every night for 2 months straight.
For 2 months straight. He couldn't get
The Shining was playing.
And I'm like, man, I'm telling you, that's what I did the first time I bought that DVD. I watched it almost every night.
It's true, and they interviewed Spielberg.
Yep.
And he said that he didn't like it at first. He watched the movie the first time.
One time.
He thought Nicholson's acting was over the top, and he didn't like the movie. But then he admitted that he's since seen it 25 times, and it's one of his favorite movies because it just grew on him. It just attached itself to him.
Yeah, he said it's one of his all-time favorite movies.
Yeah,
so which it is for us too. So that's coming from Steven Spielberg.
So if you've only watched it once and you didn't like it, watch it again.
Yeah, or three times,
or 4 or 5 times, or 25 times. Definitely.
Yeah, bring The Shining to you.
Yes. So I think, I mean, we could go on.
Yeah,
forever.
we could go on. We could talk about Jax having The Shining, and with Danny, and then Scatman, and all that. We can go over it thoroughly, but we'll make it short and sweet, so you guys don't have to listen to us blabber on about bushes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Keep it trimmed, please.
Yeah, we could just start randomly quoting the movie.
Yeah,
all our favorite parts if we wanted to, but.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, we could just randomly do that. Yes, exactly.
He's walking down the hall.
Me. I didn't do it. Me. Oh yeah. Threw my papers. All I tried to grab them up. Momentary loss. Oh man, so good.
Per second. He's like.
Yeah, the sound effects that he makes.
Off.
It's just the best. It's the best.
All right, well, before we get carried away, thanks for joining us on the Cult Classic Horror Show. Check us out at cultclassichorror.com, and definitely read all the blogs by Michael Butler. He's funny as fuck.
Yes, he is.
And then find us all over social media, Facebook, Instagram. Remember to do the meme for The Shining so you could win some free gear. And next week we'll see what we can get. If we can get an interview for The Shining, then we'll definitely do it. And if not, then we'll have a surprise for you.
You got a big surprise coming to you.
That's right.
You're not going anywhere.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.